Hey guys, thank you for joining me on my journey to Hollywood. My name is Eric, and today we're going to be talking about my education, my film education. So before I got into college, I had about a 5-year gap where I had a small fashion company with a friend of mine. And that was really sort of the foundation of how I developed my skills as a designer, as a photographer, and also a filmmaker and film director. So during that 5-year window, I was a creative director of a company called Vagabond, and it was like, a clothing brand, and we designed T-shirts, and we had a skate team eventually, and so I have some of the T-shirts here. This is one of the first designs I did. This is a lion. This one became really popular. And then my friend Ariel, who's my business partner, he's Cuban, so I made this Cuban shirt. That's cool. And then here's another one I did that was a sketch. And then here's another one that was silk screened. It was called Look, Find, Follow. It's all black. It's a city. So anyway, I always had an interest in fashion design and graphic design. And even when I was a little kid, I would organize everything on my desk really clean. Like put all the colored pencils in a row, and everything would be perfectly organized before I would design or draw or do any art or anything. So I guess I've always been kind of OCD in that way. But so before I got into college, I had this idea and I had this theory, and I knew that I wanted to be a film director, but I felt like in order to be a great director, I had to be a good designer first. And I reached to a point at the end of, I think it was 2009, when the fashion company was slowing down because the economy crashed really bad at that time. And so we weren't making any more money. A lot of the companies we were selling to, like Active Ride Shop and other skate shops and boutique stores, they started cutting a lot of the smaller brands out of their orders. And so I reached a point professionally and creatively that I felt like I needed more design education. I needed to be able to really understand what the most fundamental and professional graphic design skills and principles were. So in graphic design, you have to design a poster and communicate a message really fast in one frame, in one picture, one poster, one billboard. But in a movie, you've got 24 frames in 1 second. So my theory was, if you could not design and control someone's eye and their attention with one single frame, like a poster or a billboard, how are you then going to go forward and design 24 frames a second for 2 hours and be able to communicate a message to someone visually? You just can't do it. And there was a time when the Art Center... So I went to school at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California, and I got accepted. And the way I got in was I had a pretty strong portfolio from all the Vagabond stuff, all the fashion company stuff that I had been doing for the past 5 years. So I had, films in there, skateboarding films and commercials that I shot, and tons of photography, advertisements, graphic design, posters. It even had paintings and stuff, a ton of stuff in there. So that experience that I had with that small company for 5 years was what got me into Art Center. So once I got into Art Center, I got into the graphic design program, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to be a director, but I want to be a good designer first. So Art Center is about, 2.5, 3-year program, depending on how far you go or how fast you go. And at the time, I didn't have a way to get there. I didn't have somewhere to stay because Art Center is a really expensive school. I didn't have a lot of money. And my parents were, they couldn't afford to send me there. And so I had a friend who was a professional skateboarder, and he had a big van. He lived out in Long Beach. His name's Josh Harmony. He skated for Toy Machine and all these companies. He's a really cool guy. And so I don't know how this happened, but somehow he found out I was going to Art Center and I needed a car. And so he said, hey, man, let me pray about it and I'll get back to you. And then he got back to me a couple weeks later and he gave me the van for free. And because I was able to get that, I got accepted into Art Center, but I had nowhere to live. I had no money to rent. I couldn't afford an apartment. I couldn't even afford to buy a van from my friend. But he gave me the van for free, and I used that as my home. So I literally drove down to Long Beach with my mom, got the van from my friend Josh, gave me the keys. Thank you very much, Josh. That was a pivotal moment in my life. Thank you very much for helping me. And that was just a miracle. That was a total miracle that I was able to get the van, and I drove myself on the first day of school. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, where am I gonna go? I have nowhere to go. I have no apartment to live in. And so I had this huge van, and I put a sleeping bag in the back, and at the end of the first day of school, I went to sleep. I went to all my classes, and I went back to my van, and I thought, where the heck am I gonna go? I have nowhere to go. So I just looked inside, and I saw my sleeping bag, and I went, well, I guess I'll just sleep here tonight. And so I went in the back, fell asleep. The sun came up. I woke up, and I poked my head out of the van. And then I looked around, and there was some security guards walking around, and I secretly snuck out of my van and ran inside and went to my classes for the day. And so that became a pattern. It became one day, became two, became a week, and a month of doing this. And I eventually, I got a job at school. So I was working at school. I was living there, sleeping in my van, and I was also a full-time student. So because of that, because I couldn't afford a apartment and all the materials and everything, there was a lot of wealthy kids there. They all have Beamers and Mercedes and Audis, and then here's this big blue van. So it was crazy, but I managed to get through because I had scholarship money, and I also had the van to sleep in. So I actually did that for 2 years straight, and it was a crazy experience, but it was an amazing experience because it made me more efficient. I was able to produce and learn and advance way faster than the other students because I was motivated, I was hungry, I was starving, I was eating tuna and moldy bread every day. But I was there all the time, so I was able to soak in way more information and learn a lot faster than a lot of the other kids. So anyway, where was it going with that? So after I got into Art Center, I was about halfway through the program, and I reached a stopping point where I got all the foundational skills of graphic design, and I felt like I reached a point where I couldn't advance my skills anymore as a designer, and I really wanted to start making films. And so what happened was I came up with this idea to do a short film about an alien called the Cream-Colored Man. So where I grew up in the Mojave Desert in Southern California, and I had some friends around, I think it was like around 2004, 2006, somewhere around there, that saw this 10-foot tall white alien creature walk across the road. It had no face, really long arms, white claws, just like these right here. And people all around the town started seeing it. And so this was like, 15 years ago. And so that idea always stuck in my head. So when I got into college, I thought, oh my gosh, I really want to make a short film about that alien thing, the Cream-Colored Man. And so I designed these these are made out of plaster, these claws, where I actually took plaster. I took like a metal mesh and made claws extended out of my fingers. And then I had one of my fine art friends get this plaster wrap and wrap my whole arm up and my claws up to my shoulders and let it freeze. Let it freeze and dry on my arms. And when I tried to take it off, it actually ripped all the hair out of my arms and my hands and everything. And I had to do it again a second time to make it longer. So, you know, at this point, my instructors and my department chairs were like, what are you doing? Why are you making all these films? Or why do you want to make a film? And so I didn't ever actually technically change my major into the film major. But halfway through the program, I started to make friends with all the people in the film departments. And we made a ton of music videos together. We made short films. You know, there was stuff I did for like an MTV Movie Awards. So there's a ton of student projects, but The Cream Colored Man was my very first short film that I made in college that really focused all my skills into one project. And it came out really great. One thing that happened was when I was editing the film, the final cut of the film, the night before the premiere happened, the program crashed and everything I did was lost. So I had to recut the whole entire film. I don't know, it's like a 10-minute movie. And then one night before everybody showed up. So it ended up being a little different than I originally planned, but it came out great. And so I'm going to link it in the description below if you guys want to take a look at it. And let me know what you think. And so, yeah, that's my education. And I'll probably link some other student projects down there you guys can take a look at. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.